Luke Johnson, a New Testament scholar from Emory University, muses, some sort of powerful, transformative experience is required to generate the sort of movement earliest Christianity was. N.T. Wright, an eminent British scholar, concludes, that is why, as an historian, I cannot explain the rise of early Christianity unless Jesus rose again, leaving an empty tomb behind him. Attempts to explain away these three great facts, like the disciples stole the body or Jesus wasn't really dead, have been universally rejected by contemporary scholarship. The simple fact is that there just is no plausible, naturalistic explanation of these three facts. And therefore, it seems to me, the Christian is amply justified in believing that Jesus rose from the dead and was who he claimed to be. But that entails that God exists. Finally, number 5, the immediate experience of God. This isn't really an argument for God's existence. Rather, it's the claim that you can know that God exists wholly apart from arguments simply by immediately experiencing him. This was the way that people in the Bible knew God. As Professor John Hick explains, God was known to them as a dynamic will, interacting with their own wills, a sheer, given reality, as inescapably to be reckoned with as destructive storm and life-giving sunshine. To them, God was not an idea adopted by the mind, but an experiential reality which gave significance to their lives. Now, if this is the case, then there's a danger that proofs for God could actually distract your attention from God himself. If you're sincerely seeking God, then God will make his existence evident to you. The Bible promises, draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. We mustn't so concentrate on the external proofs that we fail to hear the voice of God speaking to our own hearts. For those who listen, God becomes an immediate reality in their lives. In conclusion, then, we've yet to see any arguments to show that God does not exist, and we have seen 5 reasons to think that God does exist. Together, these constitute a powerful cumulative case for the existence of God, and therefore I think that theism is the more plausible worldview.
Well, I thought I was going to have to begin as Socrates ended, with an apology, because I thought I was going to have to explain that I wasn't going to try to show that there is no God. I was going to try to show that there are no sufficient reasons for believing that there is. And Dr. Craig apparently was wanting to maintain the exact opposite, that I wouldn't be able to establish that there is no God, but he thinks he's provided sufficient reasons for thinking that there is. Now, he has offered so many arguments that it will be impossible for me in any reasonable amount of time to answer them all. But what I'm going to say, if it's right, will provide a sufficient reason for thinking that he and others are altogether too bold in thinking that they know what caused the universe, or they could know what caused the universe. My fundamental point is that we are all of us creatures whose entire knowledge and experience have been of the universe. It is, after all, the only one there is, and certainly the only one we have experience of. So, why should anyone think that they are able to provide an answer to the question? I take this business about whether God caused the Big Bang, or whether the universe just popped into existence like that. Well, why are we offered only 2 possibilities here? Why does anyone think that these are the only 2 possibilities of an answer? I think there are two things one needs to say about this. One concerns the ultimates of explanation. So let me try to make this point. Every explanation of why anything is the case is given an answer in terms of something else, some very general or more general law, which at that stage is taken as a brute fact, the fact that explains other things. Now, this is surely of the nature of the case. You cannot have an end to all explanation that is anything other than a brute fact, of course. Some people find some sorts of brute fact satisfactory to them, and they think that's a good place to stop. But it doesn't mean that you're able to say it's absolutely wrong to stop at that point. So it seems to me that you can't rule out the possibility that our knowledge of the universe or our knowledge must stop with the Big Bang. That this itself is the ultimate fact. That if there's any first cause, it's somewhere at the beginning, some microsecond away from the beginning. Because, after all, everything else in the universe is being explained now. Of course, the whole of cosmology may be different next year, but we're debating in Wisconsin tonight. So one has at least to entertain the possibility that it's not ridiculous popping in out of existence, out of nothing. If someone was there beforehand watching it, they'd say, gosh, it started out of nothing. But, we're just not in a position to answer the question. And the fact that one is unable to suggest a cause for the Big Bang, why should you think that anyone but a physicist is going to explain that? And if physics stops there, isn't that the end of human knowledge? Well, now let's consider the alternative. And perhaps it would be a good idea to begin with...
Make him speak.
Sorry. I'm confronted with an affliction which I've never been confronted with before. I keep getting a dry mouth. I'm sorry, I'm under considerable handicaps tonight. Yes. Let us actually produce a definition of God, the supposed explanation of everything. Right. This is the definition offered by Richard Swinburne, which is generally accepted as the standard definition within the English-speaking countries. A person without a body, i.e. a spirit, present everywhere, the creator and sustainer of the universe, able to do everything, i.e. omnipotent, knowing all things, perfectly good, a source of moral obligation, immutable, eternal, a necessary being, holy and worthy of worship. Well, that's a lot of characteristics for this cause that some of the audience clearly think, got it, that's what it must have caused the whole universe. Well, it's a lot of things. It would be perfectly possible that there should be a being that was omnipotent, omniscient, but wasn't particularly interested in human conduct. Of course, everyone thinking of creation is thinking of the first two chapters of Genesis. Well, the creator God there created the whole universe in order to have some human beings created in his image.